All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're recording this, so it will be on the website. I'd like to introduce the other folks that are going to be training with us tonight. I have Emily Kahn, who is the new member coordinator. She's from Everglades District. I have Sandra West, who is the Phoenix membership chair, and Peggy Durbin, who is the assistant scout executive from South Florida Council. Tonight, they're all going to be doing presentations. We're hopefully going to get done within an hour and a half at the latest, 8:45. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, tonight we're going to go over some basics. A full review is on the South Florida Council website. You can find that on the website under resources, and if you scroll down, you'll find it under recruiting. In fact, that's where this recording will be tonight. August 7th and August 28th are the two roundtables that are going to impact our September JSN. On August 7th is the date that you should remember for JSN to order your flyers, your yard sign banners, and start reproducing those materials that you will hand out at your Joint Scout night. You should have your list done and ready to go by August 7th, and you can get it to your district executives. And then by August 28th, your supplies should be ready so that you can go and do your Joint Scout Night rally. Remember, our Joint Scout Night week has been chosen as September 11th to the 15th. And because of inclement weather, possibly, we have a backup week of September 18th to the 22nd. So that'll be our backup. It means that you can have a Joint Scout Night function anytime during that week, or you can have it multiple days during that week. Follow up that the Scouts have a den assignment and that they are active in a pack. The Joint Scout Night recruitment, our job is to, first of all, recruit youth and adults. Now, many times in the past, we've been really anxious to recruit youth, but we've failed to recruit enough adults to become den leaders. And I don't think there's a pack or a troop that doesn't need extra leaders. So we have to concentrate on that. One of the things that we want to work on is that when you do a rally and you're recruiting, you make sure that the parents and scouts sit together. You welcome them. You're supposed to have a program that is fun and positive effect on the children. For this den leader and assistant den leader, everyone else is going to be signed up as either a committee or walk away with them and discuss it. What happens, you get den leaders or they will not join. Those that walk away may change their minds later on, so follow is very important. Let's talk about the school night rally. First of all, before you even do your rally, you've got to do proper planning. You've got to do preparation, planning, and production. You have to get with your unit leaders, and decide where you're going to hold that rally, whether it's going to be a school, a church, a community center. And you also have to plan that if you can get into the schools, if you have a relationship with the principal or the principal's secretary, and they will allow you to pass out flyers or do school talks, that's going to be very important. You don't get into the schools, you don't pass out flyers, you don't do some kind of school talks, you're going to have a very small showing at your Joint Scout Night rally. You want to select your team and their placement. You want to have a team that you can trust that's going to go into the school in uniform and can appeal to the kids and be able to work with them and convince them that scouting is a fun organization and help them to join. Then you want also to have a good team at your Joint Scout Night rally. That team has got to be centered on making sure that parents are welcomed in, they're shown to individual tables. And I'm talking about mostly a pack rally where you're going to have lions, tigers, wolves, bears, and some webelos. So you want to make sure that you have enough people on your team and that you're coordinating with the school and with the custodians. Custodians are very important. The reason being is they're going to open up the school, they're going to provide air conditioning, they're going to do all the work that's necessary so that your Joint Scout Night rally is successful. You have to make sure that you are distributing flyers. You pass out the yard signs with the QR code. You use your Joint Scout Night banner We South Florida Council last year provided banners to most of the packs and the troops. And that is significant. If the principal and the custodian will allow you to put your banner up ahead of your Joint Scout Night rally, that's going to be important. And be prepared. Do your planning. You don't want to be a last minute individual going into that school and winging it. Many packs that when they go into a school or they do it in a church or a community center, they set up a tent or a campground right in there to show parents and kids coming into scouting that scouting is fun, that camping is fun. So they make sure that that Joint Scout Night rally is a fun event and that they're having fun while they're there. Excuse me a minute, folks. I got a bunch of people who are still coming in. Okay, you make sure that you have enough scouters to assist. That's extremely important. Have members from your pack, have members from your sister troop, if you have a sister troop that can come in and help out. At each table, you should have a leader that's going to be helping at every single table. And you want to make sure, again, as I said before, that the parents and the youth scouts that are coming in to join all sit together. That's extremely important. And at the rally, tell your story, personalize it. Make sure you tell everyone how you got involved in scouting. I got involved in scouting in 1990. And I went in there and my son became a Tiger Cub and I became a Tiger Cub leader that night. And it's important to relate and personalize the story that you have. Make your presentation simple. If you're going to be up there, whether you're in front of the kids doing a rally in the schools to get the kids to come to your Joint Scout Night, or you're doing your Joint Scout Night in front of a group of parents or kids, make sure that your presentation is simple, to the point, and not long-winded. Okay, because after about 10 minutes, you start losing people. And what you want to do is you want to get to the meat of having these folks understand what the program's about and asking them to join. And remember, and I'm going to say this again, and I think other people will also talk about this, we're recruiting both scouts and adults. In the past, I've talked to Cub Masters who have said, yeah, we got a bunch of scouts that came in, but we didn't get any adults. Well, I remind you, Cub Scouting is a family-run program. You shouldn't have kids coming in without their parents. So if the parents got to be there, they might as well be involved with their own kids and be involved in scouting. 9 times out of 10, you can get somebody to step up as a den leader. If you don't get them as a den leader, put them into a committee. Make sure that you have them doing some kind of exercise when they have joined the pack. Those kids or those adults that decide on Joint Scout Night not to join at that particular time, don't write them off. You're going to have a list of names and people are going to come in. There's going to be a list at the front door and you're going to write down, the parents are going to write down their email, their phone number, their son or daughter's name. And if they decide not to join, then go ahead and make sure that you have that information so you can do a follow-up. You never know, 2 to 3 weeks later, they may decide to join. Plus, if down the line, a month later or 2 months later, you want to have an event like a barbecue, invite them all back. All right, they may change their minds. And you keep recruiting. You can follow the QR code request on Be a Scout app. That is very important. You may get people that will come in and say, listen, I did go to your Joint Scout Night rally, but we weren't ready to join at this point, and we would like to find a pack closer or something like that. So that's very, very important. All right, let's do a little bit on follow-up, and then I'm going to bring in Emily Kahn. Follow-up. Once you have your Joint Scout Night rally and you've taken applications, make sure you review those applications for thoroughness. Make sure that if they turn in money at that application time, that the money is correct, because you don't want to have them kicked back by the registrar or by somebody in the unit because the applications are incorrect. You want to follow up by turning in that money and application as soon as possible. And you make sure that you welcome and invite families to go to their first den meeting or PAC event. In other words, when you have a PAC and the PAC has been put together, and it's a brand new PAC, the names of the parents and the youth, their phone numbers and email addresses should be given to that den leader. That den leader, 3 to 4 days before he's going to have a PAC meeting, should reach out to them and say, look, we all want to get together and we want to decide how we're going to do this den and what time and days we're going to have our meetings. Parents will appreciate that. You also want to, most PACs are organized and they have a calendar of events. That's very, very important. If you can bring a calendar of events to your Joint Scout night, that's important. That gives them a yearly information about your PAC and what's going to be happening from month to month. Follow up with families that did not sign up. I cannot stress that enough, because I'll tell you what, many times we get parents and kids that come back. And make sure that when you're doing your follow-up, that if you have a parent or a youth that has signed up and they're not at a den meeting, or they haven't come to a PAC meeting, try to find out why. Try to find out if there's an issue, so you can keep that youth involved in scouting. The biggest thing that we're facing also in scouting is retention. So it's very, very important that you Cub Masters, Scout Masters, you have your program together, you have your program mapped out, and you provide a good program to keep these scouts involved. If you have any questions, we will answer questions at the end, but at this point, I'd like to reintroduce Emily Kahn. She's going to come up and talk about new member coordinators and Joint Scout Night coordinators. Emily?
Okay, hi everyone. Hi everyone in the room, everyone on Zoom. As Bill said, my name is Emily Kahn. I am the council new member coordinator. I'm also the district membership chair for Everglades. I will put my contact information in the chat when I'm before the end of this. Feel free to contact me at any time with any questions. So I'm here to talk about two extremely important but often overlooked positions that we should have in every single unit. And that is the new member coordinator and the Joint Scout Night coordinator. So let me describe a couple of scenarios. So let's say, I don't, if everybody could mute, I'm sorry. Oh. Yeah, if everybody could, I'm trying to, okay, all right, thank you. Okay, so let me describe a couple of scenarios for you and let me know if this sounds at all vaguely familiar. Because some of them happened to me, actually several. So the first one, I bring my son into, for the very first time as a first grader, to the PAC. Other than a hi that we received when we walked in the door, nobody spoke to us the rest of the meeting. I just stood there. Nobody said anything to us the rest of the time. Okay, let me describe another scenario. You're the Cub Master or Scout Master or committee chair, and a new family comes in. So you end up spending the entire meeting talking to this one family instead of doing the things that you need to be doing at meetings, working with the scouts, working as the committee chair with the other adults on the committee, dealing with things that need to be dealt with at the meeting, at the PAC meeting, at the troop meeting. Or another scenario. You're the Cub Master, Scout Master, committee chair. It's back to school night. Not only do you have a troop or a PAC to run, but you're also planning the school event, the Joint Scout Night. You're dealing with the flyers, you're dealing with the signs, you're calling the schools, you are deciding the event and what the event is going to look like. And you're running around crazy, and it's taking away from what you need to be doing at the meetings. And so there are two positions that every unit should have, and that's the new member coordinator and the Joint Scout Night coordinator. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about each and what the purpose is of each, and hopefully you will see that these are positions that you would want to fill immediately within your unit because they will, as unit leaders, make your life so much easier. Okay, so who's the new member coordinator? So think of someone in your unit, we all have them, the parent that talks to everybody. They're super friendly, they know everybody, they talk to everybody, it doesn't matter, they've never met a stranger. So this is the kind of person you would want for your new member coordinator. So they are the cheerleaders for scouting, they're the cheerleaders for your unit. So they are going to be super enthusiastic about scouting. They may tell personal stories about how important scouting has been in their life, in their children's life. And those are the people that you want to be your cheerleaders, to welcome new families, to spend that time explaining to those new families, what is scouting? What's the purpose of scouting? How does the pack work? How does the troop work? Who are the leaders? So that the unit leaders themselves are free to do the other things at the meeting. So the new member coordinator would go over the calendar with them. They would go over fees and dues. They would explain what the den levels are, or what are the ranks in scouting? What do we mean when we say youth-led unit? So those are going to be the person, that's the person that is going to talk to new families, explain to them, just to welcome them, to be their first friend in the unit. This is going to be the person that's after the meeting is going to follow up with them, going to see how things are, invite them back to the meeting. This is their main point of contact when they are first coming into the meeting. The other thing that the new member coordinator can do is also, as Bill was talking about, help to start planting those seeds of volunteerism within in our adults. Our new adults, they may be a little overwhelmed, but you can start just talking about the committee, the different things that the unit does, where you may need help. Like, let's say you guys have a Pinewood Derby. Okay, we need, we have these types of positions. We have this, these are the different things that we're doing to really start engaging those new families, not only the scouts, but the parents as well. Because again, if the parents aren't having a good time, if they, you basically have a captive audience, especially for Cub Scouts. Those Cub Scouts don't drive themselves to the meetings. So you have a captive audience, you might as well use them and include them in what is going on in your unit. So a couple of things. So what does the new member coordinator do? So the new member coordinator doesn't actually have to be one person. You can actually have a team of people doing this who can work well together and who may have different strengths. So somebody, the new member coordinator should be sharing the benefits of scouting. They are a scouting cheerleader. They are your unit cheerleader. So they will talk about how great scouting is. They will share it to their friends, their social media. They will, they're the ones that are the cheerleaders that go to things that are really enthusiastic about. The other job that the new member coordinator will do is to help coordinate recruitment, and they will work with the Joint Scout Night coordinator to work on this. And I'll talk about that in a little more detail. But that can definitely be a team effort between the new member coordinator and the Joint Scout Night coordinator. And then they will also guide the joining and engagement. So making sure the families are welcomed, develop relationships. So, it's long story short, I ended up in that pack where no one spoke to me the first night. We didn't end up joining. And I loved it. I had a great time. I ended up being their Cub Master. But because eventually those relationships were formed, but it would have been great if we start working on those relationships and building those relationships from the first time we meet someone. Okay, who is involved? So those enthusiastic about scouting. It could be someone relatively new to your unit. They don't have to be a scouting expert. They don't have to have 20 years of scouting experience behind them. It can be someone relatively new, as long as they have, the basic understanding of what's going on in the unit and how the unit works. And it actually may be better, especially at the Cub Scout level, that it might be some of the younger parents. You know, some of the ones that are better at using social media, that are better at doing, you know, connecting with, I don't, you know, millennials with millennials, maybe not like us, like Gen Xers. So it might be better to have someone a little younger that can work, you know, talk to these new families who are bringing in these kindergartners and first graders. Okay, and how can it work? So I'm the council new member coordinator. Every district has a district new member coordinator who will then work with those units to help develop their new member coordinator system, their person. So there are meetings that they can go to, resources where they can learn what to do. Now, the new member coordinator is a functional position. So one of the things that the new member coordinator does is check and respond to the Be a Scout leads. So leaders, that frees you up from another job, which is responding to these hopefully lots and lots of leads that you're getting through Be a Scout. Since it is a functional position, it does need to be assigned in My.Scouting. If you have questions on how to do this, your DE or others, your COR for sure should know how to do this. But it will need to be a position that is assigned as a functional role. Okay, so that's the new member coordinator. Now the JSN coordinator. So recruiting should be year round. We should always be recruiting. But we know ourselves that the biggest push we do all year is in the fall when school is getting back into session. And that we do with our Join Scout Night, our big showcase event that we want to put all our effort. We want to put all of our contacts, all of our, you know, reaching out to the schools, contacting all of our schools that we have, doing everything we can with yard signs, with flyers, social media, using, you know, the schools a lot of times will let you even use their Instagram to post on post your events. There's lots of things that you can do. So you've contacted all these people and now you want them to come to an amazing event. So your Join Scout Night coordinator is going to be the person that is helping to plan this, is helping to make the contacts to the school, making the phone calls, dropping off the flyers, doing the talks. These again are the people, you know, hopefully they know how to use social media. We're going to talk more about that in the next section, that can help reach out, you know, to the people that may not have taken a flyer at the school. So this again is a position that can free up the unit leader from having to do all of this extra work, in addition to maybe you're a Cub Scout pack that doesn't meet over the summer. So you're trying to start your program up again. Everybody's ranked up, and now you're also trying to plan a Join Scout Night as well. And it just gets to be a lot. It's too much. If you go, we have lots of resources on the council website for recruiting. If you go to the council website under resources, you'll find recruiting. And there is a month-by-month plan on what you as a unit and what your JSN coordinator should be doing, which I'll talk a little bit about. But basically, you know, we have out a month before the event, the things that they need to be doing, organizing, advertising, the night, what they should be doing, who should be there, you know, and what is happening, you know, during the event itself, after the sign up night, what should be happening. So we have step-by-step, month-by-month of what the JSN coordinator should be doing, as well as what the unit should be doing as well throughout the course of the year. So I please encourage you to check out all of those resources that we have on the council website, as well as you can go to scouting.org recruiting as well. There are tons of webinars and resources that you can use to make your own flyers, your own web pages, all the things that you would need for that. So we do have lots of resources available. I really encourage you to use those. And I really hope that I have convinced you of the importance and the need that you have a new member coordinator and a Join Scout Night coordinator. Okay. All right. Thank you. Back to Bill.
Thank you very much, Emily. It's a good job on your part. Now I'd like to introduce Sandra West. She's the Phoenix Membership Chair. Sandra?
Thank you, Bill. I'm here to talk about one of the jobs of that JSN chair, and that is the advertising, getting the word out. Bill mentioned that sometimes it's hard to get a principal to let you in, to get the flyers through the schools, to go to their open house, which timing, we don't know when open house is going to be until probably late August at the earliest. So make sure you keep an eye on the school calendars because you don't want to go up against that. But you want to have a table there if they'll let you have a table in their resource area at their open house. You want to be there for back to school orientation if they'll let you be there. Now, when I say all of this, the reason I'm saying it is because the principal's not your only resource. One of the things that I'm here to tell you is you have in most of your schools a parent group that can also be a resource. They have a finger on the pulse of the parents of your schools, the PTA. And the reason why I'm here to tell you that is I am the immediate past president of the county PTA. I know them all. And I will be more than happy to give introductions if you need an introduction. Can't guarantee they're going to open your arms for you, but I can facilitate an introduction. How can you work with them? Well, you've got something that they desperately need. You have a cadre of volunteer hands, even if they're small, that they have events that they could use help with. Offer to help. And they will come back and do more to help you recruit. So don't be afraid to ask. Principal won't let you pass out flyers in the school? There's a carpool line. There's a public sidewalk. They can't stop you from being there. Pass them out. Because believe me, at some of those elementary schools, that carpool line goes for miles. And those parents are just sitting there with nothing better to do but read your flyer or your banner or your yard sign. So again, school property is all up to the principal. But your catch area should be greater than the school property. Social media. Bill mentioned and Emily mentioned, getting them to post you on their social media sites, their Twitter, their Instagram, their Facebook. You can do this as well. Go post an event on Facebook. Give it a containment area, a geofence, so that it targets people near you. And as Peggy just told me about, you should be using the boost function. Yes, it's a paid advertisement, but there may be, we're going to look into funding available for you to pay for that boosting. 2 weeks of boosting is $15, guys, $1 a day. Isn't that totally worth it? Even if all you bring in is a couple more scouts and a couple more parents. PTA has means of getting to their members and their parents. They've got newsletters. They've got social media. They might be using WhatsApp, Remind, several other ways to contact their parents. Every PTA in this state has what's called a member hub site. That's a website. It's a communication device to all of their members. How do you get to be part of it? Guys, just join. I don't know, there's only one PTA in this county, and Peggy's gonna talk to you about new fees for Boy Scouts. But the highest fee I know of in this county for a PTA is $30. And those are some crazy people out on the beach. But the majority of them, it's $5 or $10. Now you're part of the group. Now you have a right to be at their meetings. They can't stop you from wearing your uniform into their meeting. They can stop you from passing stuff out. But if you're in that meeting wearing a uniform, a parent might go, hey, what's this about? Talk to me. Why are you wearing a uniform? Oh, wait a minute, you're scouting? I've been meaning to talk to you guys. You'll be surprised at how much that will work for you. Now, I could list 100 social media sites that you could use. And I can't tell you which ones are best. I'm a little old. Facebook's about as good as it gets for me. I do have a Twitter and an Instagram account, but I never look at them. However, that's not where people are today. And I know that. Don't discount your current scouts and your current parents from being recruiters for you. Did you know the scout can earn a recruiter badge for recruiting? Play it up. Tell your scouts about it. I wish I had one, but I did not successfully recruit to my troop. My son has one. He brought a friend on a friend night, joint scouting night. If you're in Phoenix districts, I know that we're hosting barbecues right now and offering funding to do these things. But I know that other districts have other means available to them to help you with recruitment events. So like I said, I am more than happy to make that introduction to you between your school PTA and your troop or your PACs. And I will make sure that we get contact information out as part of this. Like I said, I'm not the best with the social media, but Snapchat, you want to pick a social media for you that you're comfortable with, that you can do well, and that you can follow up on. So now's not the time to be learning some new social media sites. I actually did a Google to find out what social media was the most popular in the world. And I heard of sites that I never heard of before. And I was like, this is not the time to be learning new social media. But you'd be surprised if you did a survey of your current scouts and your current parents, how much variety there is in what they're already engaged in. Get them to send it out for you. Make it go viral. One of the things I did this year is I wanted something to go out to as many students as possible. I gave my students extra credit for reposting it on social media. And all they had to do was show me that they had reposted it. I never had so many students claim that extra credit for just posting one simple repost of something I put out there. So use those means necessary. Now, geofencing with Facebook, I understand. I know that some of the other social medias also have that as an availability, but those I'm not so familiar with. So I'm not going to be trying to do those for my pack. I'm going to stick with what I know. And then hopefully I will find others to help me out. Has anybody ever heard of the 100 points of volunteering for scouting? I came across this recently, and Gosh, I wish I had had that back when I was a troop leader and a pack leader. Because what it is if they're a den leader, that's 100 points, obviously. If they're a committee chair, that's 100 points. But then it ranks other things that they can do. And the goal is that every parent gives 100 points of volunteering to their unit. And reposting a social media would probably be 5 or 10 points. So use these tools available to you, the ones that Emily and Bill told you about that are out there on the website to help with your planning and your recruiting. But let me tell you, that's one that I'd Google all day long. 100 points of scouting volunteering. And this will get your parents engaged. Because as Bill said, sometimes getting the scouts isn't a problem. Getting the parents to commit is the harder thing. And if you don't get the parents to commit, again, these scouts are not driving themselves to the meetings. The parents have got to be there too. So get them engaged, get them committed. And that is one way to do it, is to give them this list and say, can you give me 100 points off this list? And what do you know? After they do their 100 points, maybe they'll go for 200. Maybe it'll become a contest. Some people like competition. One of the things that I commented on here in the Troop 7 hut is their advancement wall. Why don't you have a volunteering wall for your parents that show their commitment to your program? Maybe that will work. Who knows? Again, I'm Sandra West. I am the Phoenix membership chair and the immediate past president of the Miami-Dade PTA.
Great job, Sandra. Great job. Now I'd like to call upon Peggy Durbin, our Assistant Scout Executive and our staff advisor for the membership.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you to the room for those who showed up, and thank you for all of you that are on Zoom. This is wonderful. I'm excited to see so many people here and asking for these different resources and things. All right, my portion of this particular meeting is to talk about our JSN resources. You've heard this several times over the night, and forgive me, but I'm going to repeat it again. And if you haven't reviewed this in the very recent, then please do so. Go to the South Florida Council webpage. Right there on the top of it, you're going to see 3 little stickies that are right up there. One of them is going to be the advertisement for this meeting. The other one is going to be the advertisement for the new fees. And the last one is for product sales. But go there. You can get more resources by clicking on any of those links, and they'll lead you right into the real page. You can go across the top of the web page in the blue border, and you'll see resources at the top. There's a drop-down box that will also lead you there. I'm telling you this because if I put a link out there, somebody's going to go straight to the link, and then they will lose that link. And then they'll be lost trying to figure out where is this information. So I'm giving you the path to go find it. So we'll do that. And then Emily, there's also links in there that will take you right to the sources that Emily talked about that will go to more resources to the national webpage. And if you go to the my.scouting, you go there and there's links leading to an enormous amount of resources. So I'm showing you that, telling you that so that you have access to these things and you review them. Now, the important thing that I want to mention tonight, and I know that's what a lot of you are here, to listen to for this particular segment is the fees do change August 1. That is 3 weeks from now. The fees go up just like they did last year. But here's something that if you haven't heard, you haven't noticed, it went out on Constant Contact. It's on Facebook, the South Florida Facebook. It went out, it's on the front page of the website. The registrar sent this to the key 3 of every unit. So we've been putting it out there in every form we can put out there. There's a change in how the fees are collected this year. And this is why it is so, so important that you know this. And it's talking a little bit about recruitment and rechartering because the two are tied together. We typically recharter on September 30th is our expiration date. The charter cycle opens August 1, the same time the fees change. We now have separated the registration fees from the rechartering cycle. So when you set up your JSNs, it is extremely important that you are collecting 12 months worth of fees when you do your JSN. So if it's a youth, you are collecting $128. That youth will be registering from the day you submit the application. If it's August, their annual membership cycle is August to August. If you get an application in November, that youth or adult, their membership cycle is November to November. It doesn't, so there's no more prorating anything. So that takes that I always had a cheat sheet because it was so complicated. You don't have to do that now. When we do our chartering this year, it will be done exactly like we've always done because everybody's registered to September 30th. So as we move along, when we get new people, our registration cycles will go out of sync. Our units will always renew on September 30th is your expiration date. But people and their annual membership fees, think of it as a subscription to a magazine. Those will change as they move throughout. And as we progress 2 years, 3 years out, people are going to change. When we do the charter, all we have to do is open the charter up, click the button, yes or no, that they're, for this year, we do the click no like always and pay the fee unless they've already paid it online. Next year, when we do the charter, all we have to do is open it up and go, yes, no, this person's staying, this person's not. All my positions are filled. I'm done. I'll submit my $100 and my charter is done. It's done. Everybody will get an email when their expiration for their annual membership comes up, 60 days out. That person will get an email and the key 3 will get an email. 30 days out, they will get an email. 15 days out, 1 day out, and 1 day after that says you've now expired. So it's important that we pay attention to emails when we are now registering people. Make sure that this is a viable email, because when we register them, that's where they're going to get their notifications, and that's where you'll get notifications. So I'm kind of mixing up recharter and JSNs, but it's important that you understand this and you're collecting the correct fees. There's going to be a lot of what ifs, a lot of what ifs. So I would ask that you please, before you start going into the what ifs, go to the websites that I gave you and look at it. There's a giant red sign right across there that says go here, and it'll give you the fees chart. And it's a very, very easy to read infographic fee chart. And it's also a 3 or 4 page sheet that has your Q&As. So it'll ask you a lot of, it'll answer most of your questions. If you don't get your question answered there, then you can email me. But just remember, this year's charter is exactly the same as it always has been, but you must collect 12 months worth of fees. Next year, the charter will become easier because then it's going to be taken care of by the family. So we don't have to collect the money. The families can collect it just like a subscription. We have, so that's enough on that. I won't overload you with this. I am working on securing the letters from the school board. It's relatively easy to get the letter from Miami-Dade and they'll approve it, but it just expired on June 30th. I cannot get a letter that will go past, usually they'll give it to me September to March. I can't get a letter that goes past March because our insurance cycle renews in March and they have to have a current policy. So I get a new letter in March, but I'm working on those. Broward's a little more complicated. When Sandra mentioned about going to the website to get your own flyers, Broward County, please be aware. We have to have approved flyers at Broward County and they have to have a disclaimer form on them. So we don't want to lose our privileges when we finally do get them. So work with your executives so that we can look at that. They have to approve our flyers and we have to have that disclaimer. We're in the process of getting a new superintendent of Broward County. We worked, huh? Oh, he was hired today. Okay. We worked hard last year getting a relationship with the one we had. So now we got to start over on that one, but we'll work on it and get it. The open house, I know Sandra talked about, if you want to get a table into an open house and we don't know when the open house date is, don't let that delay you in setting your JSN dates, because the open house is going to occur at some point in August, right? The beginning of the school year. We purposely choose our Join Scout nights the 3rd and 4th week of September. So all the open houses are, some of them are in September. Okay, so just, invite them, you can be somewhat flexible on it, but please do not delay trying to get your Join Scout nights up because it takes time to get the flyers all printed and distributed and delivered and things like that. So work on your best guess there. Applications. There's no advantage to holding those applications and putting them all in when you put the charter in on November 1st, which is already 30 days past. It stops the youth from being able to advance. The parents are paying for that month that you did not put them in. There is no advantage because they're going to pay the same price if they're registering in April or if they're registering in August. So just please get the applications in, and it makes your charter so much easier when the applications are already in. And just please check to make sure everything's accurate on those applications. I'm looking at my notes and I think I have covered it. Oh, and this doesn't really affect what's happening here, but you do notice and pay attention that there is a fee for, now there's a fee for your merit badge counselors, which will start August 1. And if you're currently a merit badge counselor, you cannot multiple into a leadership position thinking you can pay $25 and not have to pay the other. It does not work that way. Any questions? Read your Q&A first, and then if you have more questions, please email me. My email address is very simple. It's peggy.durbin@scouting.org. And if you don't remember that, it's on the webpage on all those websites that I told you to go to. So thank you. Thank you.
Great job, Peggy. Thank you. Okay, now we want to open it up to questions. I'm sure that after the 4 presentations, you must have some questions, especially you folks out there that are on Zoom. If you have questions. Anybody want to throw out a question?
So merit badge counselors, so do you have to pay a fee if you're already like a registered leader and a merit badge counselor? Do you have two separate fees?
No,
Oh, okay.
no. So a merit badge counselor standalone pays $25. If you're currently registered as a leader and you've paid your leader registration fee, then you're multipled as a merit badge counselor and the $25 does not apply. That will be in your Q and As.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Durbin. They wanted the spelling of my last name.
How about you folks on Zoom? Any of you have any questions that you want to throw out?
Yes, I do.
Aye.
Hi. So the change now is that the memberships are 12 months. So I'm sure that collecting the first 12 months will be easy. How is it that you would manage to be sure that these families register again? Like, I know that she said that the email will go out to the families and you don't have to worry about the future membership fee being paid, but I mean, I could see a lot of families accidentally letting it pass by, expire. So how do you manage that?
That is a very good question, and you will be given the tools in My Dot Scouting. They're enhancing that, and the key three or the key three delegates, who's ever given it to them, I would assign one person in the unit that's going to be your membership, whether it's your membership chair or it's somebody else, but the tools will be there so that you can pull a roster, and that roster will say this person has their youth protection, or the youth protection is going to expire on such and such a date. It will also say that their membership is about to expire, so you can see when their membership expires, so somebody can manage that at the unit level.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have a question in here? How about Zoom? Any other questions on Zoom?
Hi, yes, I have a
Okay.
question. Hi, my name is Jahaitza from PAC 552. What about the Lions? The Lions, they're new PAC level. They register in October. So that means that when I do my recharter this year, I will need to do application for the Lions, and the program will run for them October to October.
Just think of it, like your Lions, if they always come in October, well, your charter was always due before October. So you register without them. And then when the unit posts, then you send in the applications for the Lions.
Okay.
Don't hold your charter up waiting for supposed applications. Just put them in after the charter has posted.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on the Zoom?
Okay, I have another question.
All right.
So there's always interest out there and people wanting to join the Boy Scouts, but what I see that I constantly run into is people, even though the meetings are like once a week, they talk about they're involved in baseball, soccer, basketball, swimming, different things. And I mean, I try to encourage people, I tell them, you don't have to go to all the meetings, this, it's an organization that your kids are really going to have a lot of fun. They're going to learn a lot of things. But I was just wondering how other people might deal with these type of scenarios. How do you encourage people to still join even though they're involved in other activities?
Carolyn, I ran up against that in the nineties when I was a Cub master. I had a pack up there in Pembroke Pines. And I had close to 80 kids. And every time we would have soccer or football or baseball would come up, I'd start to lose maybe 15 to 20 kids. And this is what I did. I got the parents with the youth together and I said, don't give up scouting. I said,
Right.
you can become a lone scout and work with your parents, especially in the Cub Scout pack, on your achievements and your belt loops and things of that nature. And periodically make sure that you come to a once a month meeting with PAC and that you, a regular PAC meeting. And out of about 15 or 20 kids, I was able to keep about 12 or 13. All right. Some of
Okay.
them just left, but give them the opportunity. Don't make them make a choice. Because
Right.
probably scouting will lose. Remember something. Sports is only for 3 to 4 months. Scouting is year round. So if you give them an opportunity to still be in scouting and to still achieve in scouting and to work with their moms and dads, believe it or not, a lot of them will take that choice and say, well, I've already paid $150. I might as well stay in the program and work through it. So it's,
Okay.
I know it's a challenge, but every year you're going to have that come up. And if you have that open-mindedness about, and say, I always used to say, sports is great. I'm glad you're in sports. I hope you continue to be in sports. But don't give up scouting. And because that's important also.
Thank you.
We have a question on the floor.
I just wanted to make sure I understood correctly that the fees stop being prorated October,
No,
no,
August 1.
August one. So if someone comes in the middle of the school year, then it's August, whatever that month they came in, it's 4 months later.
Correct.
Right,
It's always the same amount.
right. Makes it easy.
I encourage you to download that infographic. Which I don't. Oh. I encourage you to download this because I turned it into a PDF because it's very simple, very easy explanation here. Yeah, but I got all kinds of notes.
Okay, anybody else have a question from Zoom?
I have another question, sorry, about the prorated. I have a couple of new families that they just joined us during the summer. So what I should tell them or what I can do with those families, because in the past, they don't need to pay the registration or the recharter, the registration, I'm sorry. But now I need to charge them again. when we do
Okay,
the
you said they
charter?
joined this summer,
Yes, correct,
so they paid to September 30th. Correct?
correct.
All right, your charter would happen right now, August to September, it expires on the 30th. So on September 30th, they would have had to pay 12 years or 12 months worth of registration fees. So,
You're locked in.
so right now, it's nothing more than it always would have been. If they
So,
join now, their expiration was September 30th, and they would have to pay 12 months. Like all of us have to do, including myself, we have to pay the 12 months for one more year.
Okay, so that means that I need to include them in my
Of
recharge
course, yes.
registration. Okay,
Yes, because they would be on your charter and they're going to be asked to pay.
I was hoping that you said 12 years. They're really locked in then.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions on Zoom?
I do. Can I say something about the registration with Cub Scout Pack 280? And we've had some folks join over the summer and they're getting sticker shock because they're automatically being charged for the entire next year. So their registration, if they join now, they pay pro rata from now through September 30th, I guess is the date. And they're also being charged for the entire next year.
It
Or
depends
so
on
their membership expires September 2024.
when did they
So there's no
register?
way out of that. That's online registration.
When did they register?
We've got folks from May and June, and that's it.
They should
They're
not have been,
registered.
they should not have been charging all the way through.
That's what online registration is doing.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean,
Yeah,
they paid, so now when their charter comes up, they're gonna show up, if they paid through 2024, they got a break because they paid at the cheaper price. And your charter's gonna come up saying they're prepaid.
Right. Yeah, there's a little green on the roster, there's a little green R next to their name, which
Yeah.
shows
So
they're
you don't have
already
to collect their
rechartered.
money.
Just so if folks haven't seen that already, that's what we're seeing. Some people are getting like, it costs $200 to register. They're like, wow, oh my gosh, and I got 2 kids.
Yeah,
So they're delaying registration,
but yeah,
just so you know.
on August 1, that fee will go up.
Yes.
Anybody else on Zoom have a question? Anybody in here have another question? Okay. A couple of points that I'd like to make before we close out our meeting tonight. Remember something what we discussed, preparation, planning, and production. That's very, very important. You can take all the training you want to, but if you're not opening up a school and a school that's assigned to you and you're not working with that school, that principal, that custodian, and you're not out there recruiting scouts, you're not going to build on your pack or your troop. So you're going to have to get involved, and it's hard work to do. I mentioned 2 dates, 2 roundtables in August 7th and the 28th. Please make a list of the things that you need for a proper recruitment and give it to your district executive by August 7th. That'll give them 3 to 4 weeks to prepare. That's including flyers and everything else. And then August 28th, that roundtable, you can probably pick it up at that point. Because a lot of the roundtables are becoming physical again in-house. Follow-up. Everybody talked about follow-up. No matter what happens on your Joint Scout night recruitment, follow-up. Do not let any of those parents walk out without having their names and their information. Because I give them a phone call. I had this happen all the time. I used to recruit out of Pine Lakes Elementary, and I used to recruit one school I had. Okay, and this was back in the 90s. And I used to get 55, 60 kids out of that school. And the reason being, I'd have parents walk out and say, I'm too busy, I can't do this. I got too much time and everything. And I'd call them 3, 4 weeks later and I'd invite them to a barbecue or something like that, and I'd get them to sign up. So scouting is not hard. Recruiting is a little harder. You have to work at it. And we also talked, everybody talked about putting your team together. What Emily said about Joint Scout night coordinators and it is so very, very important. If you have a good Cub master and he appoints somebody to be the JSN for that unit, his problem is solved because that person takes over the recruitment program. Okay. And the new member coordinators, as Emily said, are extremely important. All right. Because I'll tell you, they're the go-to person in any pack or troop. And it relieves the Cub master and the Scout master of having to worry about orienting these new parents and new youth that are coming in. And with that, I wanted to make a little statement on closing. During the last few years, it's been really tough on us recruiting with COVID and the lawsuits and everything else. Everything's been settled. We're in much better shape. This September, we have a golden opportunity. And that is to surpass expectations and to have a banner year of recruitment. Now, remember something. Nationally, we recruited over 1 million kids last year. We can do that again or better that. And remember, recruitment is every day. It's not just September. We focus on September, that part of the year, but recruitment is every single day by every one of us in recruiting scouts. But I also want to thank everybody on Zoom and all of you. And personally, thank you for becoming a volunteer with the Boy Scouts of America. Thank you for giving your time and effort. Your dedication to this organization is something that's going to be rewarded as your children and other people's children grow up and become productive members of our society. And Lord knows we need productive members of our society because we're going in the wrong direction. So I want to thank you. I want you to have a good evening and safe travels home. Thank you for all you folks on Zoom also. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.